John chapter 21, the last chapter, the last of these videos that we'll put out. We're really looking forward to September and pray that you have a really good rest through the summer, whatever you're doing. But before we finish, there is a last message that John gives us in his gospel in chapter 21. Last week we saw the resurrection, and we saw that for those who believe that Jesus is who he says he is, the risen Messiah, our Savior, who died and rose again 3 days later, if we believe that, then there is peace for us. There is peace for every single one of us who believe that Jesus is who he says he is. But Jesus doesn't just leave us like that. He gives us a clear mission and purpose. As we believe in his name, he then sends us out to share that with those around us. John chapter 21, you see this beautiful exchange between Peter and Jesus. The disciples have gone out fishing on the lake, and they're out early in the morning, and they throw their nets over one side of the boat and they catch nothing. And then they see Jesus on the shore, and Jesus says, throw it over the other side. So they throw the net over the other side, and they bring in almost more than they can carry. The nets are at breaking point. They bring it to the shore and they start a fire. John's really deliberate and concrete in his details. There is a charcoal fire, and they're getting ready to serve up breakfast. The smell of the fire, the warmth of the fire, it would have taken Peter back to the last time that he saw Jesus around a fire. Just a few days earlier, as Jesus was being led to his crucifixion, remember Peter was warming himself around a fire as he denied Jesus 3 times. And in a wonderful act of redemption, Jesus now asks Peter a question 3 times. He says to Peter, do you love me? Do you love me? Do you love me? And each time Peter comes back, he gets offended at one point and he says, Lord, you know I love you. And each time Jesus says, feed my sheep, tend my lambs, care for my sheep. See what Jesus is doing here. He's not allowing the disciples just to receive the peace that he has given them and for them to carry on life as normal. No, he changes us. He transforms us. He gives us peace and then sends us out. That's how almost all the Gospels finish up. Was receiving salvation, and Jesus giving us this great commission to go and make more disciples, to be fishers of men, to bring in the nets that are bursting and ready to be brought in, to gather in the harvest, to tend to the sheep. That is who and what we are supposed to do if we believe that Jesus is who he says he is. So would you go? That is the last call of John in his gospel. Now that we have followed, we call others to come and follow Jesus and to believe. Remember the great purpose of John? His great purpose is that we would know that Jesus is the Christ and that believing in his name we would have life. Let us not keep that to ourselves, but let us share the good news of the gospel. That Jesus has come and lived a perfect life, and he has died a cruel death in our place for our sin, and he has risen 3 days later, conquering Satan, sin and death, victorious over the grave, and now he has placed us, his disciples, on a mission to share that with those around us. So would you go? Would you go like Peter? Would you go like the other disciples and bring in the harvest? Folks, I hope you've enjoyed these videos over the last few months. I hope you found them helpful. I'd encourage you, maybe over the summer you could read through John's gospel again. It will only take an hour, maybe a couple of hours at the most. Remind yourself, refresh yourself with the beauty of who Jesus is, what he's done, what he came to do, and what he has called us to do as well. And I would just leave with John's commendation to us again. Here is my hope. Here is my prayer. That you would know that Jesus is the Christ, and that believing in his name, you would have life.